Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
Coffee tastes good this morning.
Is that just coffee?
I wish it was something else in here. I wish it was something else in my cup.
Talk about it.
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim.
Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops Talk for the streets. You already know how we do, family. Brought to you as always. It's your host, Justin, aka Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513, on IG at JustBlaze513, on Facebook and YouTube. Search Above the Rim Podcast. Also email the show as well, Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. You know the line is always open. Talk about it. 908-718-1592, family. You know the number. Best way to support the show is by copying your merch as always. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the orders. I appreciate the merch. I appreciate you, family, of course, for always listening in. Link is in my bio. Show some love. I appreciate it, of course. Family, lots of things on the docket to discuss today. I know the streets has missed me. I know it's been a while. I haven't been in the booth for a little minute now. I'm still adjusting to, my new schedule, the new dad life. Be patient with me. Be patient with a brother. I'm getting everything through. I'm getting the scheduling all in order. But my apologies, of course. A couple of weeks went by since I haven't been on the mic. But I'm here. I'm back. I'm here now. Lots of things to talk about. Like I said before, we got to get into the NBA draft. We got to talk about Redick and Bronny to the Lakers, Bronny James. We got to talk about the NBA trades that have already happened. We got to talk about free agency, all those grades, and some news around the NBA, of course. But first, we must start off the show talking about the NBA champion Boston Celtics. Shout out to these boys for getting it done. The 2024 NBA champions, the Boston Celtics. They have won the title in dominant fashion, bringing home banner number 18, the most titles of any franchise in NBA history, defeating the Dallas Mavericks in a breezy 5 games. Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP, well-deserved, but Jason Tatum got crazy snubbed. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. How does a man who led the team in points, rebounds, and assists didn't get Finals MVP? We know what it's about, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, back to the Celtics. Congrats to them. Shout out to them winning the NBA Finals, winning the NBA championship. Well-deserved, long overdue for how many times they've been knocking at the door of a championship, how many times they've been deep into the playoffs, and they finally got over the hump and got it done. And their ring chase, the Celtics ring chase, was very publicized all year. They were clearly all in on this ring chase from the start. They took a carefully calculated risk trading Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis in that deal, and it paid off well. When it happened last year in the summertime, I believe it was one of the first few deals at the end of the season last year. I liked it. I loved it, actually, because I remember saying, particularly, I'm going to try to find that clip, but I remember I was saying that Marcus Smart had to go in order for Jaylen Brown and JT to prosper. You know why? In order for them to flourish. You know why? Because he was trying to big bro them for too long. It wasn't necessary anymore. Jason Tatum is what? 25, 26? JB is what? 26? Something like that. So these two fellas are in the prime of their career. They've been in the league for years now. They are technically, even though they're young, they are veterans. They're all veterans in this league right now. So they didn't need a veteran leader per se that was very loud and boisterous. Al Horford is a veteran leader, but he's not loud. He's not boisterous. He's not telling them what to do. He's not telling them to pass the rock. He's not telling them to give me the rock. He just finds his way within the offense. So moving Marcus Smart away was a excellent move by them, clearly, as you've seen, and they were better for it. Now, many people are wondering if the Boston Celtics are the NBA's next greatest dynasty or next great dynasty. Now, it's very possible, but also very difficult in today's ever-changing NBA. So they completed one of the most dominant runs in NBA history. They went 16-3, a 16-3 record in the playoffs. There was never a moment in the playoffs in which the Celtics were pushed to the point of doubt. Even when they lost, it was either because they shot historically bad or opposing teams shot historically good. And more often than not, it was a little bit of a combination of the two. So this was an all-time great team, an all-time great run. Now, I know that they didn't play the most respected opponents en route to the championship. Obviously, they played in Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. Who were they playing second round? The Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell took a few games off. Jared Allen took a few games off. Who they play after? The Indiana Pacers. They clearly had no business in the conference finals. Did they steal it? No, they got swept actually. Like I said, no business in the conference finals. And they had some injuries also as well. Tyrese Halliburton missed a couple of games. And then the Dallas Mavericks. They were completely healthy, but they were overmatched. I knew at the minute we got into that series, the Dallas Mavericks had no chance in that series. The Boston Celtics were too deep, too versatile, too strong, too big, too fast. You know, it was a lot going on. So I knew the Mavericks had no shot against the Boston Celtics. Now, like I said, it's still an all-time great run, no matter how you slice it. They may not have been as flashy as the 2017 Golden State Warriors or the Jordan-led Bulls during the 90s. It's not a flashy, dominant run like that. But the Boston Celtics were overwhelming every single night. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Derek White, Al Horford, they're all under contract for the next season and seasons beyond. And they head into next season, the Celtics, as the favorites to win it all, of course, and they should be. Now, with the NBA, there's two types of champions. There's champions that you know are like a one-off who had like a near-perfect season, and it's unlikely for them to repeat. I look to the Nuggets as a team like that. They were a one-off type of champion, in my opinion. And then there are champions that are built for sustained success, lasting excellence. That, to me, is the Boston Celtics right now. They want to make sure they maximize their championship window. So what do? They back up that Brinks truck. They pay everybody in the damn lineup. They backed up the Brinks truck to keep this core together. Jason Tatum just signed a 5-year, $314 million contract. Largest contract in NBA history. Jaylen Brown last year, 5 years, $304 million contract. Drew Holiday, 4 years, $135 million contract. Derek White, 4 years, $126 million contract. Kristaps Porzingis, 2 years, $60 million contract. That is a massive $939 million on the books for those 5 players. For 5 players. Ownership has clearly ponied up for the franchise, ponied up for their players, and paid everyone in this group. So it's up to them to return the favor. Now, they got one title. Now he paid them. The Celtics paid them in order to have sustained success, because they want to keep this core together. Now, they're absolute favorites going into the postseason, as I said before. Sportsbooks, DraftKings, whatever the case may be, they're the favorites. And they should be. You know what I'm saying? They're the best team in the league. They're the most complete team in the league still. They're not making any changes in the lineup. They actually re-signed Xavier Tillman too, so they're not making any real changes in the lineup. They're literally bringing back the same top 7 into next year, even though I know Kristaps Porzingis may miss the first couple of weeks of the season, maybe month, who knows, recovering from his injury. But as a whole, the Boston Celtics are still intact. So you got to show them love. You got to give them credit. And as far as, I want to talk about this a little bit, as I alluded to a little bit before. The finals MVP kind of bothered me a little bit. Jaylen Brown, well-deserved. I'm not saying it wasn't deserving of Jaylen Brown, but I would have gave that award to JT. I think it was his award to lose, and I think they kind of played him a little bit. Yes, they were listening to Twitter a little bit, talking about the narrative, saying he wasn't dominating in the series, but he was doing everything else. You don't have to score 30 points a night to dominate. You can dominate in other ways of the game. You can dominate in other facets of the game. And that's what Jason Tatum was doing all playoffs, all series, all NBA finals long. So the fact that he didn't get MVP, I think was a little shady to me. And it was a little bit of hate. It was a lot of bit of hate for JT. I don't know what the hate is for JT. I talked about it in my last couple of episodes. The shit is ridiculous. The JT hate is out of control. And it's time for the hate to cease. He's an NBA champion. He's an NBA champion. What they gonna say now? As my boy said, what they gonna say now? So, Paul Pierce, the truth, said it best on his show. I think it was ridiculous. Listen to this clip from Paul Pierce.
First off, Skip, I need an apology to Jason Tatum. You ripped him. You said he couldn't be the guy. He didn't have the it factor. Lonzo will be better than him eventually. Hold on. We need to get some apologies out the way before I get started. Yeah, you did say that. I looked this. This is all documented.
Well documented.
This is well documented. Now we need some. He don't have the it factor. He's not a dog. What else? There's a lot more. The list is long, but it'll take up the whole show for me to go over all these things you said about him.
Yeah.
We just need a short apology. Start off. He's a champion now.
Shout out to Paul Pierce for saying what needed to be said. We demand apologies. There needs to be a Jason Tatum apology for the hate this whole year. There needs to be an apology. The man is a champion. The man led his team in points, rebounds, and assists, damn near for the whole year, for the whole playoffs, for the whole finals. Didn't win MVP because he was snubbed. You're trying to hate on him. You didn't want him to add to the mantle, to the legacy, but it's all good. You know why? Because the MVP season is incoming for Jason Tatum. So keep hating. Apologies are ready. The apology needs to be as loud as the disrespect. But I know y'all won't do it because y'all are natural born haters. Some of you, the people who hate on Jason Tatum. But congrats to the Boston Celtics. 18 championships. Most winning franchise in NBA history. Shout out to those boys. Shout out to those fellas. I'm looking to see how they grow upon this going into next season. Shout out to Celtics. Moving on. We got to talk about the NBA draft too. I know I haven't been here in a while. This is the NBA draft. I didn't even get to preview the NBA draft, but I'm going to review the NBA draft because I don't know if we even needed to preview this draft because this draft as a whole was pretty underwhelming. Even going into the marketing, it was just underwhelming. Everything about this draft was underwhelming. The marketing, the talent level, the star power, everything here was a little bit underwhelming, but just because there were no stars per se, going into the draft, that projected stars, I would say, there could be some gems. And I think there are some gems. There's some quality role players in this draft. There may not be a full-time, out the gate Hall of Famer, but some of these stars may eventually, a lot of players, they get better in the league. You start off slow, but then you get to your 5th, 6th, 7th year, and you start to really find your place in the league. You start to really find your role in the league. So that's what I think a lot of these players are. Role players that's going to take them a few years to grow into stardom, but they may be a superstar role player or a star role player, a star in their role, and there's nothing wrong with that. So draft was pretty underwhelming. Number one pick obviously went to the Atlanta Hawks. They got Zachary. I'm not gonna lie, I forget how to pronounce his name, but you know who he is. 6'9", versatile wing. The Frenchman going to the Atlanta Hawks. He could dribble, pass, and shoot. He's relatively unknown to a lot of the American people who cover the game, but he's a Frenchman. He's played very well. He's played professionally. He's a 6'9", versatile wing. Like I said before, he can handle the ball. You can dribble, you can pass, you can shoot. And let's see how well he translates into the NBA, because to be the number one pick, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. So I'm actually excited to actually watch him play and see how he meshes with this Hawks lineup. Don't know if Trae Young is going to be there. I know they're looking to move him. I know they're trying to move him. I don't know if they will actually get it done before the offseason is over. But if he's not, I guess they're going to have to see how those two mesh. Number 2 pick was Alex Sarr to the Washington Wizards. Another Frenchman, a big guy, 7-foot guy. He's a power forward, center. He can handle the ball. He can dribble, pass, and shoot also as well. Power forward, center. He's probably going to play a little bit power forward in the league. He has the physical tools and the potential to be a franchise cornerstone for the Wizards for years to come. I think they were pretty high on this pick. I actually like Alex Sarr. I watched a couple of his highlights. I watched a couple of his game. He has a nice, good feel to the game. He has an American style of play, which I think will translate very well to the league. So I'm actually excited to see him put on a Wizards uniform and see how he translates into the league. And I think that was a really, really great pick for them. If it was up to me, if I were the Hawks, I would have picked Alex Sarr first, but I guess they felt like they needed Z better. So we'll see how that is. Alex Sarr, I really like that pick. Number 3 was Reed Shepherd going to the Rockets. A solid pick, a shooter for them. Stephon Castle, the number 4 pick going into San Antonio. I love that pick. I love that sleeper pick. Obviously from the NCAA champion UConn Huskies. One of their defending perimeter playmaking guards. He could play some point. He could play some 2. I think he's about 6'4", 6'5". Great fit in San Antonio. Great culture guy. He's a very mild-mannered type of guy. He's not going to be, a problem for the coaches or anything like that. And I think he's going to fit in well. He's one of those guys that I think is going to be morph into a superstar role player, because I think he fits the bill. He can play any role. He's adaptable. He's interchangeable. You can put him in any different lineup. So I really love the Stephon Castle pick for San Antonio. Another pick that kind of stood out to me. I'm just going to talk about the picks that stood out to me rather than go over all of the picks. A couple of picks that stood out to me. Donovan Kling, number 7 pick to the Blazers. Why? I don't understand that one to me personally. Now, it's not because I don't think Donovan is a good player. I actually think he's a really good player. I actually think he's one of the more polished, ready-made rookies coming into the NBA. But the reason why I don't like it is because I don't like the fit. Why did the Portland Trailblazers select him? They have DeAndre Ayton at center. They have the Time Lord at center as well. Now you're going to bring in a top 10 pick as a center to add into that? That tells me somebody's being moved. That tells me somebody has to be moved. And this all but wraps up any thought of Ayton being the center of the future for the Blazers, because then why would they draft Donovan Kling? Maybe they're giving up on Ayton already. They only had him, 1 year? 1 year you only had DeAndre Ayton. He had a solid season. It's not a great season. I would hesitate to say good. It was just solid. It was all right. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great. So Kling will obviously push Ayton for starting minutes and, probably eventually push him out of town. We're going to see if they keep Rob Williams, but you can't have 3 7-footers on a roster. What's the point of that? That doesn't make any sense. So they're clearly going to have to choose 2 out of the 3, or maybe even 1 out of the 3, and it may be Donovan Kling. So we'll see what they do there. So that was a surprise pick. Another surprise pick is the one right after. Number 8, Zach Edey going to the Memphis Grizzlies. That actually surprised me. I was actually a little disappointed at first because I wanted the Miami Heat to draft Zach Edey because I think that was the best fit for him. I believe they had the 15th pick, if I'm not mistaken, the Miami Heat. I feel like they should have drafted Zach Edey. A big center, 7'4", damn near 300 pounds. One of the most dominant players in college basketball for the past 2 seasons. At first, I was shocked in a bad way that he went to the Memphis Grizzlies. But then I started to sit back and think about the vision. Why did they choose Zach Edey? And to me, it started to be more clear. I started to see the vision. They clearly are using him to replace Steven Adams. The best success of the Memphis Grizzlies was when they had 2 big, damn near 7-footers in the middle. Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr., Triple J, and they had a big, huge lineup. Brandon Clark coming off the bench. Now, they clearly want to replicate that, but a little bit more mobile. Now, is Zach Edey better than Steven Adams? Maybe, potentially. Probably has a little bit more offensive skill. They're both big guys, they're both, very dominant in the middle, but it's clearly they don't want Triple J playing center. They didn't want to move to, be more mobile in that way. But Zach Edey is probably a little bit more mobile than Steven Adams. He's probably a little bit faster. I mean, he's no fast guy, but he may be a little faster than Steven Adams, maybe a little bit more mobile. Now, we know Steven Adams has his injury troubles from time to time, but I'm starting to see the vision with the Zach Edey. Now, if he comes in and he starts at center, which is a real strong possibility of them doing that, it's possible. He could win Rookie of the Year. He could get up there. I could see Zach Edey putting up some good numbers. So we're going to see how that works out in Memphis. Another pick that I like, Dalton Connect to the LA Lakers, another number 17 pick. He was the 2024 SEC Player of the Year. He averaged in there 20 in college and from Tennessee. He's a great player. He's a really good college player. I think he can fit in well. He's an older rookie. He's a tailor-made rookie ready to come in and produce right away. He can hit some jump shots. He can come off screens. We're going to see how they implement it into that lineup. If he plays a little, if he plays a lot, we're going to see how Dalton Connect fits. And obviously who he was drafted with on the LA Lakers. We got to talk about that. Might as well transition into that right now. Bronny James. We got to talk about Bronny being drafted. Never have I ever seen a number 55 pick, damn near the last pick in the draft, receive so much media coverage, so much reporters asking questions, big old introductory press conference for the number 55th pick. First of all, I want to say this before I get into that. Congratulations to LeBron for doing something that no man has ever done. Being the first father, I can't say to get his son in the NBA. I mean, technically he did, but being the first father-son duo on an NBA team ever, that's a very cool thing to see. And I think we should, as much as we criticize LeBron, we should also applaud him for being a great father, being an active father, being a father that cares so much that you really exerted your power to make sure the team that you were on drafted your son. First of all, it's even difficult to even achieve that type of power to even allow you to do something like that. So shout out to LeBron for even being so great that I can even have the power to pull off something like this. So got to give him a lot of credit there. And it was just a cool thing to see. You know, Bronny James, he was born 6 months after LeBron won Rookie of the Year in his first year. That's crazy. And now LeBron is still in the league. He's still playing. Now Bronny James is in the league. That's crazy to me. That's insane. And you got to give him some love for that. Now on the basketball side, I don't know how effective Bronny James is going to be. I don't know how good Bronny James is. You know why? Because we didn't see much of him in college. He played only he's 19 years old. How many games did he even play? I think he damn near almost played 20 games, or maybe played 20 or a little bit above 20, 21, 22. 19-year-old rookie, real green. He entered the draft averaging 4 points, shooting 36% from the floor, 2 rebounds and 2 assists in 19 minutes at USC. The dude didn't even play. He barely played. He barely produced. USC, they didn't make a run. They weren't even in the tournament at that, so the team wasn't even good. Now, how much of an impact is Bronny really gonna make on the Lakers for getting all of this hoopla? Probably not much. But we did get to see Bronny's presser recently, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit really quick, since we can't talk about the on-court fit until a little bit later on. But a couple of things that I noticed, that I paid attention to in Bronny's presser. I watched it. I wrote some notes down, and it could be me nitpicking a little bit, but Bronny James didn't look comfortable to me. He didn't look comfortable. He didn't look confident enough for me. Now, he still looks a little wet behind the ears. I'm gonna be honest. What I'm trying to say is, he didn't strike me as a mature 19-year-old. Just a 19-year-old. Not a mature one. Now, obviously, we know he's got room to grow. He's only 19 years old. That's why I prefaced that by saying I may be nitpicking a little bit. But I will say that he didn't look as confident as I would have hoped him to be. Another point. Guys, I'm all about looking professional, being professional. Leaders of men is always the type of phrase that I talk about. And Bronny didn't look the part to me. He didn't look professional enough, in my opinion. First of all, his fit stunk, if we're going to be honest. Bronny James. I'm not trying to shit on you right now, but I'm being honest. You had the audacity to wear a hoodie and sweats to your first introductory presser to the NBA. That to me was a bad look. Who do you think you are? I'm gonna just say this. Who do you think you are? Dalton Connect, the dude who got drafted with you, he at least wore a collar shirt, some slacks. At the very least, you ain't gotta be decked out, but at least look a little bit more presentable. Not a hoodie and sweats. Come on now, not a hoodie and sweats, bro. That to me was very unprofessional on Bronny's part. And, I don't want to say shame on LeBron, maybe shame on Savannah. Maybe they tried to tell him and he said no, but Bronny, you're a man now. You're in the NBA. Shame on you for not knowing that you should go to your introductory press conference suited and booted, looking professional, looking on point, looking ready to work, looking like you should be taken serious. I don't know if he was taken serious in that press conference because of him having a hoodie on and sweats. I didn't like it. Look at the photos. I didn't like it. Dalton Connect had slacks and a button up on. Bronny James in a damn hoodie. You looked a little privileged to me, if I may add, a little bit privileged. So I didn't like to see that. People are already questioning you on the squad, so don't look privileged now in that. Just work hard, keep your head down, keep your head low. Last thing, when they asked Bronny about the added pressure, he said, for sure, he said an amplified amount of pressure. He said the attention surrounding him joining the Lakers. He said, I've already seen it on social media and stuff and the internet and stuff talking about that I might not deserve an opportunity. But I've been dealing with stuff like this my whole life. So it's nothing different. It's more amplified for sure, but I'll get through it. Also, I didn't like these comments. This tells me that Bronny James, you are taking all of the negative stuff said and written about you right now. You can't have rabbit ears this early in your NBA career because it will get to your mental and it will take over. This is a little word of advice for Bronny. You may need to take a social media break, block out all the noise, focus on training camp, focus on getting yourself together, focus on your nutrition, focus on your training, focus on working out and getting yourself NBA ready because you don't want to go into training camp and these dudes are looking at you like, come on, you're not ready. So Bronny James, that's my little word for advice to you. But shout out to him. Great job for him getting drafted into the Lakers. I think his first game is Friday, July 12th in the Summer League. He takes on the Rockets and Reed Shepherd at 7:30, and then you get to see the two number 1 and number 2 pick after that, Friday, July 12th. So make sure everybody's paying attention to that Summer League. And while we're staying on the Lakers, I got to talk about their coaching hire. JJ Redick. This is happening for, a couple of weeks ago now. Like I said, I've been going. But JJ Redick becomes the 29th head coach in franchise history and the 7th to take the helm since Phil Jackson's departure, in 2011. Now, JJ Redick, I know a lot of talk has been talked about his lack of experience, but he's not the first guy to get a head coaching job with no experience. He's not the first guy. There was Jason Kidd with the Nets in 2013, 2014, Mark Jackson with the Warriors in 2011. There was Doc Rivers with the Magic in 99. There was Larry Bird with the Pacers in 97. So he's not the first guy to start coaching without any experience, right? Now listen, I know JJ Redick skipped the line as far as coaching goes, as far as moving up in the coaching ranks, but there were probably more coaches more deserving than him for this spot. Guys like Sam Cassell, guys like Mark Jackson, veteran type of coaches, but the Lakers looked at the Redick hire differently than we all looked at the Redick hire, right? So to the Lakers, the JJ Redick hire was looked at as a refreshing move for the franchise. In my opinion, this was all part of the master plan for the LeBron James, right? Mr. LePay cut. This was all part of his master plan, and I'm not mad at him for it. He pulled it off. If you executed plan, how can you be mad if you actually executed it, right? All his master plan. In order to get the Lakers on board to picking up Bronny, developing Bronny, he needed to have a coach in his back pocket that he could trust to take care of Bronny's development, right? Why not have a coach in there that I personally handpicked and that I vouch for and that I put into office, right? In order to make someone trust him, he had to throw them a bone and do them a favor. JJ Redick trusts LeBron James right now. JJ Redick is indebted to LeBron James right now. The favor was obviously helping him get the Lakers job that he wasn't even qualified for. The Lakers are no ordinary coaching job. He may not even be qualified for the job, but LeBron carried out the mission, and he made history by having a new coach in there and having his son drafted to make sure he takes care of his development, right? Now, the JJ Redick hire is okay for a couple of reasons, in my opinion. I'm not too mad about it. It is what it is. It's the obvious LeBron factor. If your star player trusts your coach, then everyone will follow suit. JJ Redick is a self-proclaimed sicko and, and a major competitor. So he wants to win and prove everybody wrong. And I think that will actually help out JJ Redick in the long run because he's such a competitor and because he wanted to prove everybody wrong. And the Lakers wanted to stay relevant. So why not go with an outside the box kind of hire? Now, listen, do we believe JJ Redick when he says he didn't speak to LeBron about the coaching job before he got it and he had no influence? Obviously not. We know better than that. I'm not even going to address that because we know that is a damn lie. You know what I'm saying? This was perfectly handcrafted and orchestrated by LeClutch. All right? Let's be serious now. Now, the real question is, what are the real expectations for JJ Redick and JJ Redick Lakers in particular for their first year? Is it a conference finals? Is it championship or bust? Or is this a season to bridge the gap for the new era of LA Lakers basketball? Is this life beyond LeBron? Is it life with Bronny possibly as a franchise star? Who knows? We're going to see. The Lakers, they finished 47-35 last season, 7th seed. They were the only playoff team with a losing record on the road in the Western Conference. Do they get better roster-wise? They didn't get better yet. All they did was sign D'Lo. He opted in. So you can't evaluate JJ Redick yet on this roster. We got to see how this works out. So the jury is out on JJ Redick and the hire, and we'll see. Family, we got to talk about what we came in for. Free agency. I call it free agency, as you know. I always call it free agency, never free agency. It started, it's been a couple of days in now. A couple of stars have been moved. A couple of trades have been made. And we got to talk about it. But before we get into free agency, I wanted to drop a voicemail from one of the listeners. One of the family called in. He left his voicemail about a month or so ago. And my apologies, because it must have slipped me. And I didn't see it, so I didn't get to play it on the last show. My apologies, my brother. But it does take us into free agency. So let's hear this voice from the family.
Yo, just first on the new child in your life, man. Fatherhood looks good on you, man. Congratulations. But I got to know. All right, so look, whole bunch of people getting knocked out this first round. A lot of stars that we thought would go further. So with that being said, after all the teams that got knocked out of the first round, what stars on those teams do you think are going to find new homes over the summer?
What stars who were knocked out will find new homes over the summer? Appreciate you sending a voicemail, my brother. Great question. Next time, leave your name on the voicemail, my brother. Come on, family. When y'all calling, you gotta leave your name on the voicemail so I can properly show you some love, so I can properly give you your credit. You know, I appreciate you calling in as always, family. I love when people call in. I love to answer your questions, your voicemails, your DMs, whatever the case may be. So shout out to you, my brother. I appreciate you. Drop the name the next time so I can give you some proper credit, my brother. But appreciate the call. Let's get into it. So, talked about some stars that were knocked out in the first round that could possibly move in this summer in free agency. Some did. We got to talk about the main one, Paul George, who got knocked out in the first round, and he left the LA Clippers for the Philadelphia 76ers. Paul George agreed to a 4-year, $212 million max deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Tyrese Maxey secured a 5-year, $204 million extension with the Philadelphia 76ers. They picked up Andre Drummond. They picked up Eric Gordon. They re-signed Kelly Oubre. The free agency grade that I give for the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm going to give them an A-. I'm going to give them an A- because it was a solid pickup. Paul George was the prize free agent of this class, and they got their guy. So you got to give them credit. Now, was it the best free agent you could possibly get ever? Of course not. But for this particular free agency class, he was the prized possession. Now, I don't love the years on the contract. They gave him 4 years. Like I said before, Paul George is 34 years right now. At the end of his contract, he's going to be 38 years of age. So he'll be making roughly $56 million at 38 years of age, which I think is, a little ridiculous in my opinion. But, it's not my money. I don't count people's pockets. That's not how I roll. You got the deal. You got your money. You get what you can negotiate, So shout out to Paul George for getting as much money as he possibly can. Now, I talk about the on-court, about the basketball fit. Now, even though Paul George has his doubters, sometimes I'm one of them, on occasion. But there's no question that he's still one of the better two-way stars in the league when healthy. And if he can avoid, serious injury this season, he's going to help the 76ers emerge as a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. I think absolutely. I think without a doubt, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be a top 3 seed in the East. I think Paul George is going to be motivated because, he received, some backlash, a little bit from leaving the Clippers, leaving them with nothing, I guess, per se, and, just signing outright with the Philadelphia 76ers. So does it make the 76ers better? Obviously. Does it make them the best team in the East? No. Does it make them better than the Celtics? No. I'm going to be honest. I'm putting that on set. Listen, I like Paul George. Maxey, Eric Gordon, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, Joel Embiid. A solid 5. A really, really good 5. Is it a great 5? I'm not sure yet. I think Paul George fits in with this roster. On paper, he fits in well with the Philadelphia 76ers, but they still have a couple of holes in their team that they need to figure out. I don't like their power forward situation because now, Tobias Harris left, going over there to the Detroit Pistons. Who's playing power forward? I'm not trusting Kelly Oubre to play power forward full time. And Paul George, he's not a power forward. He's going to be playing the 2 or the 3, most likely the 3, most likely. He's going to have a lot of ball handling duties. He's going to be getting into the offense, initiating the offense a lot because Tyrese Maxey doesn't really want to play traditional point guard. So I see a lot of ball handling duties from Paul George. He talked about a lot that he wanted to, play the right way. That was, a part of him leaving, the Clippers for another team. Nick Nurse, is a great coach over there in Philadelphia. But the offense is centered around Joel Embiid. Now, the offense is not centered around him. I hope he knows that. I know he probably does know that. But clearly, he thinks he has a better chance to win a title in Philadelphia over the LA Clippers. Which, yes and no. In the East, you have an easier path to get to the NBA Finals, to get to an NBA championship. But what is the chemistry going to look like with Joel Embiid? What is the chemistry going to look like with Tyrese Maxey? Are you going to be taking away touches from those guys? Or are you just going to be... Are you going to be enhancing their game? That, to me, is the key. Because if Paul George is coming down and shooting 20, 25 shots a night, because, he wanted to handle the ball a little bit more, I'm not sure if that makes the Philadelphia 76ers better. You know, the reason why the Boston Celtics won, why? Because they had depth. They had pieces. Anybody can beat you on any given night. Some nights Derek White had 20 plus. Some nights Jaylen Brown had 25 plus. Some nights Porzingis had 20 plus. Some nights Drew Holiday had 20 plus. They had a plethora of guys who can, you know, get you that great amount of points that you need. The 76ers, their options, you know, Paul George. I don't trust Paul George enough for me to go crazy over this signing. I like Joel Embiid. Do I trust Joel Embiid in the regular season? I don't know if I trust Joel Embiid in the postseason because his numbers tend to go down. Tyrese Maxey is a guy that I really like. You know, he's a damn near, second best player. I mean, a case can be made that Maxey and Paul George is neck and neck. A case can be made, but we're gonna see how they finish shaking up this roster, because to me this roster right now is still incomplete. They still need a power forward. They still need to shore up that bench a little bit, because to me it's not enough. They're not better than the Celtics. Are they better than the Knicks? We're gonna talk about them in a few minutes. They're on par, I think, with the Knicks. I think the 76ers and the Knicks right now are neck and neck. Now, what about the Bucks? I'm not sleeping on no Giannis. I'm not sleeping on Dame. Chris Middleton's another year. Maybe he could get healthy. I feel like they got to make a move, of course. But, I like the fit. I like the move for Paul George. Was it a better team than the Clippers? I don't know. It could be a lateral move, but who knows? Jury's still out. They still have $9 million, I believe, in cap space to use for the rest of the summer, so they still could pick up somebody else. We'll see how it works out for the Philadelphia 76ers. But right now, solid move. Should help the team get better. They were already top 3 in the East anyway. I know they were the 7th seed last year, but that's because Joel Embiid got hurt. So we'll see if these guys can stay healthy and get a better regular season record, because that matters. Moving on, we got to go to the Dallas Mavericks, another team that made a major splash in free agency. The Mavs front office general manager Nico Harrison has continued to make fantastic moves to surround Luka Doncic, surround Kyrie Irving with win-now talent. They made their NBA Finals run. Now they're trying to add on to that, and they are doing the right thing. This is exactly what you should be doing as an organization. Last year, what did they do? They acquired Kyrie Irving. They missed the playoffs. They got a high draft pick. That draft pick turned into Derek Lively. Derek Lively is a valuable contributor this whole entire season and was a valuable contributor in the playoffs. Mid-season, what do they feel like? They have a chance to make a run? Let me go make a great make a great trade. 2 great trades at that. They picked up Daniel Gafford and they picked up PJ Washington. 2 great trades that they made. GM Nico Harrison to fill out the roster next to beside Luka and beside Kyrie Irving, right? This offseason, after a finals run, what do? They get better. Picking up Klay Thompson, signing and trading for Klay Thompson, 3-year, $50 million deals. Klay Thompson turned down the Lakers to go to the Mavericks. Smart man. Smart move. The best move. The smartest move. Klay Thompson made the best move. Honestly, if I'm Klay Thompson, I would have left the Golden State Warriors too. They weren't valuing you anymore. They were trying to bench you for pods, Brandon Podminski. You know what? What's happening to Klay Thompson, or what happened to Klay Thompson with Steve Kerr basically benching him for pods and looking to bench him going into next season for pods, is the exact same thing that happened to Ray Allen after they won a title. I mean, not the win. After they lost in the playoffs, and I believe it was 2010, Ray Allen decided to leave the Boston Celtics for the Miami Heat. Why? Do you remember what happened? What was the real reason he wanted to leave for the Miami Heat? Doc Rivers was trying to bench Ray Allen for Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley. Where is Avery Bradley? Playing poker somewhere right now. I don't know where Avery Bradley is, but he damn sure should never be starting over no Ray Allen. Okay, so what did he do? You didn't value me enough. Another team is going to value me. The Miami Heat, Pat Riley, the Godfather, they wanted Ray Allen. They brought him over there, and what happened? They won a title out of it. Dallas Mavericks, Klay Thompson could be the missing piece for their title run. I'm not lying. I know a lot of people are down on Klay Thompson right now, and rightfully so. The last image you've seen of Klay Thompson going 0-10 against the Sacramento Kings to not even get in the playoffs, couldn't even hit a shot, didn't help the Golden State Warriors. But with this Dallas Mavericks team, it's a lesser role, but a more important role. 3-and-D basically is what he's playing right now for the Dallas Mavericks. He doesn't have to worry about any playmaking, doesn't have to worry about any facilitating, not too much rebounding. He's gonna have to play some defense, of course, because they lost Derrick Jones Jr., but they picked up Najee Marshall. They made another move for Quentin Grimes, trading THJ. Under the radar moves, and Klay Thompson looked at the landscape of the Dallas Mavericks and said, this team is on the come up right now. Clearly they are. Luka's young. Kyrie is still, a veteran. He's not old. He's just the veteran presence. Klay Thompson is also that veteran presence. And don't forget the marketing factor of it all. Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, both answer athletes. You can market your brand. You can market your sneaker together during a deep playoff run. So I like the move for Klay. Smart move for Klay. Smart move, a no-brainer for the Mavericks. Excellent fit for both parties. I love it. The Dallas Mavericks, they're getting an A from me. No-brainer for the Dallas Mavericks. I love the move that they make. So shout out to the Dallas Mavericks picking up Klay Thompson. I think he's in for a hell of a year. I think he's in for a comeback year. And remember, he's motivated right now. He's pissed. He's motivated. He felt like the Golden State Warriors disrespected him with not offering the money that he wanted. But I will say this. They didn't owe him that money. Reason why I'm saying they didn't owe him is because they did pay him before while he was injured. They gave him damn near a max contract when Klay Thompson tore his ACL. He had 2 major leg injuries, and they still paid him through all of that. So you do have to give the Golden State Warriors credit as an organization for making sure they took care of Klay at that time. But this time they just said, hey, we need to move in another direction. And I think it was best for both parties that the Golden State Warriors move in another direction. So shout out to Klay. Shout out to the Mavs. We'll talk about the Golden State Warriors, what they did coming up shortly. Another free agency signing that I love. The San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs picked up my man Chris Paul on a 1-year, $11+ million deal. Chris Paul is on track to become the 11th player in NBA history to play 20 seasons in the league. And a crazy accomplishment. If you play ball, you know how difficult it is to play 20 years in the NBA. It's extremely difficult. So shout out to Chris Paul for that. The Spurs needed a point guard badly, and CP3 needed a starting spot badly in the NBA. I'm not mad at the decision at all from either party. I actually like it. Pairing up Chris Paul with Victor Wembanyama? Come on now. We love that.
Come on, man.
We gonna love that next year. Wemby, who obviously led the team in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks. He averaged 21 and 10 last year, over 3 blocks. He's a phenom. Y'all know how much I love Wembanyama. Adding Chris Paul to that is gonna do wonders for his career. Gonna actually extend Chris Paul's career a little bit because he's playing with a young stud, a young phenom, and Wemby is gonna learn everything there is to know next year. The CP3 effect is real, and you will see once again this year. He makes every team that he's on infinitely better. So much better. When Chris Haynes talked about the reasoning why Chris Paul went to San Antonio Spurs, he said Chris Paul had a great talk with Greg Popovich, and he was sold on the culture and the opportunity to elevate the game of Wemby. He said CP3 is eager and motivated to showcase that he's still an elite guard in this league. I agree. He still is. He can still make a massive effect on an NBA team. And I talk about the CP3 effect because it's real. You can hate on it all you want, but it's a fact. He's made every team that he's on significantly better, especially in the first year with them. The New Orleans Hornets went from a 22% win percentage to a 46% win percentage. The LA Clippers went from a 39% win percentage to a 60% win percentage. The Rockets went from a 67% win percentage to a 79% win percentage. OKC Thunder, they went from a 59 win percentage to a 61 win percentage. The Phoenix Suns, they went from a 46 win percentage to a 70 win percentage. Even the Golden State Warriors barely had a roll there. They went from a 53% win percentage to a 56% win percentage. The proof is in the pudding. The Spurs finished with a 22-60 record last year, 26% win percentage. Now, you know how I feel about them. How will they finish next year with CP in the fold? Oh, they making the playoffs. That's for damn sure. You can put that on the set right now. The San Antonio Spurs are definitely making the playoffs. There's no way they're missing the playoffs with CP3 on it. And then they're going to add to that roster. It's not even complete. Now, the combo, the CP3 Wemby combo, though, come on now. So versatile. Wemby could do it all. He could bring it up. He could score. He could pass. He could rebound. He could do everything. He could do everything in between. Chris Paul is going to accentuate all of his skills to the highest level. You know how I know this combo will go crazy? And remember, middle of the year, Jamal Crawford was talking about how he's been training with Wemby all summer since the All-Star break. So he's been getting Wemby's handle together. Are you checking him out? What are you doing for the French national team right now? Just in the training camp? He's killing these dudes. Come on now. This combo is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Now, if the Spurs were to even acquire Lauri Markkanen now we cooking with gas. Now we cooking with something right now. If they add Lauri Markkanen to this team, they're really cooking. With Chris Paul, come on now. His strength and Markkanen's strength comes with his inside shooting. Inside and outside shooting. You know, he can get to the basket in a number of ways. Both guys, they don't clog the lane. Both 7-footers can dribble past and shoot. They can do it all. Especially in today's NBA, it will make a nice towering partner for Wemby. Lauri Markkanen and Victor Wembanyama. With Chris Paul, both versatile guys, both with mindsets and skill sets that they want to get better in this league, and you have a great mentor in Chris Paul, seems like a match made in heaven to me. More on that, in the next couple of episodes coming after, more on that when we get closer to the season, but I love it. Did I even give them a grade? I don't know if I even did, but I know it's an A or A+, or whatever the case may be. Shout out to the Spurs for picking up Chris Paul. Moving on to the Golden State Warriors. Talked about it. They lost Klay Thompson. They lost Chris Paul for nothing, but they picked up Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, 3-year, $27 million deal. They picked up DeAnthony Melton. They picked up Buddy Hield now. Now, I'm not down on the Warriors as everyone else because I do think they still have a lot of talent on their team, and they just had to make some tough decisions, but they're not a bad team right now. Their offseason grade, I would give them a B just because they did lose some top-tier talent, but, they made up for it in complementary pieces. Now, Kuminga got to take a step up. Moody got to take a step up. Those guys got to take a step up. So we'll see what type of roles those guys have going into the new season. But I'm going to give them a B. You know what I'm saying? They kind of had to move on. It was bittersweet. New York Knicks. We got to talk about these boys. I'm going to give these boys an A. I'm giving them an A for aggressiveness. Don't look now. But the New York Knicks have been cooking this offseason. They have. You can finally say that the New York Knicks are moving in the right direction. They have a vision and they have an identity. Finally, the New York Knicks making a blockbuster move from Mikal Bridges on the eve of the NBA draft. It shocked the NBA world. It shocked me. I was actually shocked. It was a great move for them. They signed OG Anunoby for a massive, 5-year contract with the Knicks to re-sign damn near max. Over $200 million for OG. I think that's a little bit crazy, but hey, I guess that's what they feel like they needed. But in the Mikal Bridges trade with the Brooklyn Nets, first of all, shame on the Nets. I'm so disgusted in the Brooklyn Nets front office. I can't even waste time talking about you right now. You're not even worthy of me talking about you. I'm disgusted in that front office. But let's talk about the good things. Mikal Bridges going over to the Knicks. It was they sent a total of 5 first-round picks, 4 picks, and I think a pick swap for unprotected, and Bogdanovich to the Nets for Mikal Bridges and a second-round pick. I'm a big Mikal Bridges supporter. I think he's an excellent player in this league. He was a really, really good player out here in Brooklyn. He wasn't really a number 1 option, but as a number 2 or number 3, excellent piece, right? Availability is one of his best abilities, and that's what his main asset is going to the New York Knicks. He's a Tibbs guy. He's a natural fit. He'll play damn near the whole game. Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby might even play 82 games in the season if their knees don't break down by game 48. You know what I'm saying? Tibbs, he gonna run them into the ground, but they may be built for that. Those guys love to play a lot of NBA, a lot of basketball. Mikal Bridges, to me, I think it's a no-brainer. It's a seamless fit. Now that they give up a lot to get him, yes. For their future, yes. But the Knicks are of the mindset that we can win the East right now. They don't think the Celtics are that much better than them. We may think that, but they don't think that. They think they should have been there playing against the Boston Celtics. Like I said before, the Pacers had no business playing the Celtics. If the Knicks weren't hurt, they would probably have beaten the Pacers if they were healthy and played the Celtics, and maybe we'd have gotten a better series. So I love what the Knicks are doing. They said, we were right there. I'm going to add on to that. You know, I love teams that add on to it. I talked about the Mavs. They're right there. Let me add on to that. Let me bring in a guy who I know is going to hit shots. Adding on to that. Mikal Bridges, excellent player, great fit. But what I'm worried about, what I'm looking at with the Knicks, not Mikal Bridges, not OG, not Jalen Brunson, not Josh Hart. I'm looking at Julius Randle. What's happening now? Where's Julius Randle going? Is he the odd man out? I think so. I think the Knicks will be looking to move him by the deadline. I don't think he's even going to last a year in New York City. I think, the Knicks are going to want to upgrade, themselves. When we get to midseason, they're going to see that we got a chance to make a run at this thing, especially if the Celtics are a little bit hurt. Coming off the championship year, there's always a little bit of a decline. So we'll see. The Knicks may be the hot new thing next year. They're going to have the buzz. They're going to have the fan base. They got everybody around them. What's going to happen with Julius Randle? What can you get for Julius Randle? We're going to see what they can actually get for Julius Randle. But I personally think he will be traded by the deadline. I don't think he fits in with this roster. I think you could use him and get a bunch of complementary pieces to add on to that roster. You want to give Jalen Brunson the rock all day anyway. Julius Randle's just going to get in the way. He's the previous star. And if he is not able to assimilate to the new star, you got to move him. The Villanova Knicks, chemistry. Their chemistry is going to be on point. So that's why I think Julius Randle is going to be the odd man out. When Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo all hanging out with each other all day, that four, come on now. When you're the older star, it makes you wonder. So I see Julius Randle being moved. You tell me what you think if Julius Randle's going to last the season with the New York Knicks. But great moves for them. New Orleans Pelicans, they made a solid move under the radar. They traded for Dejounte Murray. They got Dejounte Murray. They only traded Larry Nance and 2 picks. That's nothing. Think about this Pelicans roster right now. They got Dejounte Murray. They got CJ McCollum. They got Brandon Ingram. They got Zion Williamson. Notice I didn't name no one else. You know why? Because their center is gone. Jonas Valanciunas, you went to the Wizards. So that, to me, is their issue with the New Orleans Pelicans. They got better on the perimeter, but they lost their identity in the middle. Now, will they miss Valanciunas? Who knows? Can they replace him? Yes, they need to. But if you have the opportunity to pick up Dejounte Murray, I would do it any day of the week. Sneaky good move under the radar for them. He led the NBA in game winners last year. A lot of people don't know that last season. But they do have a center problem, like they said. So let's see how they show that up. I would give New Orleans Pelicans, I'll give them an A. I think that was a great trade for them. I'll give them an A. You can replace Valanciunas. Let's be real. Come on. Orlando Magic, I'm going to give them an A. They made some quiet, solid moves. They signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They brought KCP up over there. They needed a veteran player to add to Paolo Banchero, to add to Franz Wagner. They needed a veteran presence, some guy who's won a championship. KCP is a 2-time champion. He knows how to win. He knows what it takes. He's going to be the leader of that team. Now, they gave him 3 years, $66 million. That's a lot of money for KCP now. But like I said before, I don't count people's pockets. If they can afford it, let them get it. KCP is a solid. They needed a shooting guard. They needed a shooter. They needed a defensive wing, adding shooting, defense, veteran leadership. And that's what they're going to get from KCP for next season. They needed 2 guard. That was their hole in their roster. So he's the type of player who's going to come in and really contribute to the roster. Oklahoma City, Chicago, they made a trading Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. I like the deal for both sides. People are thinking the Bulls got fleeced. I don't think so. I like Josh Giddey. He's solid. He's not great, but he's solid. He was still a top 10 pick before, so he has top 10 pick talent. The Bulls need a playmaker. Remember, they don't have Lonzo Ball. He's still not back. It's been 2-3 years now. Josh Giddey is there to replace that, and he's insurance for Lonzo Ball. Now, I know they're looking to move off him, but Josh Giddey, he could play make. He's a triple-double threat. I like what he's bringing to the table in Chicago. They're going through with a youth movement. Caruso, obviously excellent fit for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Pairing him with Lou Dort, a defensive crazy combo with those two. I love the fit for them. I think that goes without saying. OKC also picking up Isaiah Hartenstein. He's going to be great for them. They need a center who could shoot, who could rebound, who could offensive rebound, who could bring some grit. So I like what Oklahoma City's doing there. Another team in the top of the West, loading up. The Phoenix Suns, I'm going to give them a B-. They signed Monte Morris. They signed Mason Plumlee. They're not splashy signings, but they're solid signings. Monte Morris is solid. They needed a point guard. He's not a starting caliber point guard, but he's a backup point guard. We're going to see he's an insurance. Obviously, Bradley Beal, we know, is going to miss some time. Mason Plumlee is an athletic setter, but he's a little doofy. You know what I'm saying? He's not a great center. He's a little doofy, but, it'll work. Nurkic, you're not a big fan of him, but the Suns couldn't really do much anyway. So for what they could have done, this is solid. B- for them. We're going to see how that works out. The LA Clippers, I talked about them losing, obviously, Paul George, but they did replace, I'm trying to think of the reword. They didn't replace Paul George with Nicholas Batum, Kevin Porter Jr., Derrick Jones Jr., Mo Bamba, Chris Dunn. Re-signed Harden as well. I'm going to give them a B-. You know, they lost a star on Paul George. They replaced him with some complementary pieces, but it's all about Kawhi Leonard. It's all about if he's healthy enough to even make that roster even worthy. So I'm going to give them a B-. The jury's still out. The Detroit Pistons, I'm going to give them a C. They picked up Tobias Harris. He already been there before. He agreed to a $52 million deal with the Pistons. Lateral move. Pascal Siakam re-signed with the Pacers. Malik Monk re-signed with the Kings. Scotty Barnes re-signed with the Raptors. Donovan Mitchell re-signed with the Cavs. Kevin Love re-signed with the Heat. So, that really rounds up free agency as a whole for the major moves. There's a lot more to come, of course, but that really rounds up free agency. So, it remains to be seen. Let me know what you guys think about your thoughts on free agency. Who won, who lost, who made bad moves. Also some key dates that we're going into right now. July 12th, I talked about before, is the Las Vegas Summer League opening night. First game for Bronny James. We're going to see how he looks, if he's even worthy. We're going to see how he looks. July 26th also was the start of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. So that's something to look out for, family, in July. 2 more big events. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my man, Kemba Walker, man. Officially announcing his retirement from basketball. 4-time All-Star, the Hornets all-time franchise leading scorer, 2-time Sportsmanship Award, UConn legend, New York legend, one of my favorite players ever, Kemba Walker, probably the most famous player in college basketball with his crossover, and obviously in the Big East tournament, UConn. Cardiac Kemba was born right there, one of my favorite players ever. Thank you for the memories, my brother. I appreciate you, and I hope you ride off into the sunset. Well, Cardiac Kemba, my guy. Last but not least, the WNBA All-Star team is announced. Family, make sure you checking out the WNBA as well. Some great games over there. We got to show some love. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, both named to the WNBA All-Star team. Shout out to those young ladies, the rookies. First time since 2014 that 2 rookies have been announced to the WNBA All-Star team. So that's going to be great to watch. Family, I appreciate you, man. I got to appreciate you once again for always listening, for tuning in, joining me for another episode. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter, IG, with your Facebook NBA takes. Let me know what you thought about free agency. Send me a voicemail, 908-718-1592. Make sure you leave your name on the voicemail, too, also as well, so I can show you some love. Let me know what you thought about free agency. Subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Family, I appreciate you again. This is episode 224, and we out.